Broadcasting from deep behind enemy lines in the occupied territory of the Socialist Republic of California. Your host, former California State Assemblyman and Governor candidate, Tim Donnelly.
Hey, we're going to bring you an update on the mass shooting in San Bernardino. It happened earlier today at about 11:15, 11:20. There are 14 confirmed dead, according to San Bernardino Police Chief Jared Bergwan. They were approximately, they're not sure if it's 3 suspects or possibly even more. They have very little description except for the fact that they were masked, dressed in black or camo. We have one story saying they were dressed in all black with black masks and tactical stuff. That's a quote from one woman who was inside the building speaking to her husband via cell phone while she and her coworkers were barricading the door. And she saw a large, as she said, a bigger individual. And it is something that is ongoing because right now you have a massive area in San Bernardino that is under lockdown. You have 70 government offices, schools, buildings, hospitals that are on some sort of lockdown. And the bottom line is that they don't know where these individuals are. They do know, according to the police chief as well as the San Bernardino Sheriff, John McMahon, that they came in there with a mission, and their mission was to kill people. What we do know is there was a Christmas party going on. It may have been an outside group that was hosting the party, or it could have been county employees. We don't yet have confirmation on that, but it was in the Inland Regional Center, which is a developmental disability center. It's a place where people can get help and training and assistance. And people come from all over Southern California, from Riverside County, all over San Bernardino County and elsewhere. And this is an ongoing situation. There was some sort of device that they found, and they detonated this device. You have FBI, ATF, San Bernardino Police is the lead agency, the San Bernardino Sheriffs, and you have dozens and dozens of people who are monitoring this situation. I've never seen such a massive show of force. The only problem is they don't know if they got away in a black SUV. And here's the weird thing. They don't have a description. We're going to go to the phones because we're going to take your calls all day today. We're going to bring you a live update here after the break. But we're going to pick up Anne Marie Morrell calling from Burbank. Anne Marie,
hello. This is just maddening. It is so maddening.
Well, Anne Marie, you stated that you had seen some coverage indicating race of the individual because the police chief was asked that directly. He said, we don't know. Nobody's offered the most basic description, like, are they black? Are they white? Are they Hispanic, Asian? What is their nationality? Or I'm sorry, what is their race and height and weight and all that? And so far we don't have anything. But you said that you'd seen in a San Diego paper that they were reporting that they were possibly Mideastern.
Absolutely, and it came directly from it was a news source that updated itself over and over. Around 12:30, it was reported from San Diego Police Department. There was an alert sent out that they were looking for three men. It was unsubstantiated yet. It wasn't confirmed yet, but they were looking for 3 Middle Eastern men. Well, so then, of course, everyone started saying they were white people, and now the entire article that I referenced has been completely scrubbed. I'm so frustrated right now. It has been completely scrubbed. It's been completely rewritten. Now they're using an AP source, and not one mention whatsoever of the original 1230 Middle Eastern description. And now not only that, there is no description whatsoever. These people are still at loose.
And I want to be clear.
Not a height, not a weight, nothing.
I want to be clear. I have read online that there were reports and scanner reports, and I've been monitoring the San Bernardino police scanner, but I didn't monitor it early enough to pick up that original report. But there have been multiple people who have said that. The only problem is the authorities right now are not giving any description of any kind. And it's not very useful. I don't know if it's because they don't know or if there's something else at work. It certainly is not stopping the politicians. You've already got Martin O'Malley blaming the NRA. You've got Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and almost everybody else calling for more gun control. Here we still have 3 dangerous killers on the loose. We don't know what their motive was. We don't know who they are, and we don't know where they are. And that's the most important question. And I'm a little bit frustrated in large part because I live 15 miles from where this is, and I live up in the mountains where they would most likely want to flee. And I know a lot of my family and friends remember when the cop killer Christopher Dornan came up here, and literally this is the most logical place they would go unless they were able to get on a freeway and head to Vegas or something. But I've never seen anything like this. This is a massive law enforcement response, and they're all hovering around the building. I don't know if that means they still think they're in the building.
Well, at one point they were saying that somebody saw a battering ram and that they were going to go that there was one of them that was still in there. The thing is, Tim, that's maddening. If they're white, I don't care. That's fine. I don't have an agenda here. I would rather it wasn't. I would much rather this wasn't an Islamic attack on America. Of course.
Well, we don't know.
Not saying anything.
They aren't saying, but they are rolling. I'm watching it on TV, Anne-Marie, and they are rolling out of that area in a big way. The cops are heading somewhere else. Evidently, maybe they've cornered somebody.
One suspect hit by gunfire. Yeah, one suspect hit by gunfire on San Bernardino Avenue. So something is happening right now.
Yeah,
Colleen Williams was reporting.
What channel are you?
The Democrats are in charge now. We've had, I guess, we're in the 5th year of Republicans being in charge, and no one has really seemed to have had the stomach or the will to take this issue on. I'm glad now the president is speaking out on it, but again, it's been there for the first 5 years.
Congressman, hold on for a moment. I think we're seeing, I want to show our viewers these live pictures that we're getting in right now from the scene. It looks like the police are pursuing an individual. It could be related, might not be related, but let's listen into our affiliate and see what they're saying.
This is on a east-west street right here. You can see officers with long guns here.
In an instant, and that's what we see.
Again, a black SUV, uncertain if this is the suspect. You can see tactical teams moving up the sidewalk, looking for positions of advantage right now. Again, the suspect is down. They don't know if additional suspects are in that car. That's where you see those tactical teams moving eastbound, and we're going to come over here moving eastbound up the sidewalk, trying to find a position of advantage. We're going to come back out. That scene that we showed you earlier, again, that might have been the scene where we have, again, not confirmed right now, but there is a possible officer injured that has not been confirmed. We saw several officers standing over that downed person who looked as if they were wearing a bulletproof vest down there, but you can see that black SUV, and just to the driver's side, on the north side of that street, there is a suspect down. It looks right next to him, looks like to be, I don't want to get too close because that is a gory scene, looks to be like there might be a long rifle down near his feet. Again, I don't want to get too close, but they're trying to get to call out any additional suspects. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the long way. I'm going to go in tight, and I'm going to go around the long way so we don't show that suspect down. You can see officers backing off. Going to try to get to the car around the long way here. I'm going to double up. You can see here, that is a dark SUV. You can look at all the bullet holes in the windshield. The left side, driver's side, completely blown out. This was a very, very graphic shootout here. All the windows in this SUV completely shot out. We do not see any additional suspects in there. We saw the tactical teams running back westbound on the sidewalk. You can see they're trying to figure out whether it's clear to approach, trying to find a position of cover and concealment right now, which there's not a lot of. Those bushes do not stop bullets. They're trying to find positions of advantage, trying to see if we've got an additional suspect off the right side of the vehicle. They are focusing solely on that vehicle right now. The suspect, they can be pretty assured, is downed off in the middle of the street. He is down, and he is not moving, more than likely deceased. Right now, waiting, calling out to see if there's any additional activity in this vehicle, but all sorts of pandemonium. And I think that original scene David and Colleen was showing you might have been the situation where that original shootout occurred, and unfortunately it may have been an officer down. Again, not confirmed, just the reports right now that an officer possibly was down in that parking lot. And that's what it kind of looked like. You saw that there was a wreck in the street. You saw all sorts of debris, 2 or 3 vehicles hit, multiple officers. Again, unconfirmed that an officer is hit, or if this is even something that's associated with this same the IRC shooting, but it appears that the long rifle down at the suspect's feet is down there. And I'm going to pull out wide again. I'm going to try to stay wide again. It's a very gruesome scene. I don't want to show it, but you can see here. Go ahead, David.
Yeah. So you've got the.
All right.
You've got the black SUV. You've got I can see I'm watching this screen. I'm also getting texts from the scene. Medical aid is on foot. They're chasing someone down. They've got an officer down, unfortunately, and we believe that there's a suspect down as well. You can see a number of officers are taking cover behind brick walls, and there is a black SUV. It appears to be possibly a Tahoe. It's a big GMC type vehicle, and it is just shredded with bullet holes. You've got bullet holes all over the place, and it is something that this is happening right now on San Bernardino Avenue. So if you're anywhere in that area, you definitely want to steer clear, because the police officers are all taking cover, and they're heavily armed. You can see a number of the officers have long guns, which they should, and I see multiple agencies responding. I see San Bernardino Police, I see sheriff's vehicles, I see CHP even on scene, and it is a huge showing of law enforcement, and they're focused on the vehicle. Now, I don't know if they believe that the individuals are still in that vehicle. It appears that may be the case, and we just don't know. And this thing is playing out live, and it is clearly something that is unfortunately has resulted in an officer down. Hopefully, the only bloodshed that will take place in the future would be one of the suspects, and not any of those first responders who are right now crouched behind walls, behind police cars. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll bring back more information right after these messages. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to the show. We are covering the San Bernardino mass shooting, and it appears there is a shootout taking place, or at least the officers. There's one suspect down. He's clearly down. Not sure if he is deceased or not. Can't tell that. There's a press conference going on, but they seem to be giving out information that is not as timely. But they definitely have this one suspect. They have the black SUV that was referenced earlier, and you have multiple police agencies, including these tank-like vehicles that shield the officers as they close in on the vehicle, which they're doing right now. And it's hard to know what to tell you, except that I'm watching this, and evidently the authority, yes, they're literally converging on the vehicle as we speak, and there's one vehicle is behind it, one vehicle is in front of it, and they're taking no chances. They're taking cover, and they're taking absolutely no chances that that there could be additional suspects laying down inside this vehicle who are and I have a friend who is on the scene who is texting me and saying there's another suspect somewhere else. The authorities are taking cover everywhere, and it is one of those kinds of situations that you can only hope that no one else suffers a loss of life. There is a phone number that the authorities have given for anyone who's trying to connect with family, and that is 800, who might have been in the Inland Regional Center. That's 800-637-6653. That's 800-637-6653 if you have family who is in that area. I'm going to go to the phones right now. We've got Mike from Wrightwood. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, actually, I'd say that one guy's expired. Otherwise, there'd be a little bit more care taken as far as where he's at compared to where they just brought in the tactical vehicles. But, I mean, if people have never seen this, I've heard a lot of people complain about police having these vehicles. This is a big reason. If you notice, at one point, about 40 officers were making a move, and all of a sudden they all started bolting, which tells you there's another suspect somewhere moving around. So these vehicles that they have are similar to what we use in Iraq, Afghanistan, anywhere else we've been. You know, they can take bullets. Some of them can actually even take a little bit of a blast. So they're perfect for these situations where they could, if they wanted to, get it right on top of that thing. But the problem is you don't know what the people on the inside are doing.
And Mike, I'm watching this live. They have the vehicle pinned in between these two monster vehicles. These are defensive vehicles. They're not offensive vehicles. They're there to protect the lives of the SWAT team or officers who are inside. I now see some officers who are on foot who are moving toward the black SUV. There's definitely, and this is right in the 1300 block of South Waterman, so it's not far from where this all happened at the regional center right there.
Right, and some of those vehicles actually have like little holes in them for the muzzle where they can actually, I mean, like I said, they can get pretty close to right on top. And I mean, the difference between what police officers do and what we do is we would have blown the car up. I mean, that shows you how tough their job is. I mean, they're trying to make sure that, you know, no matter what these guys did, that they're going to take them alive and give them every opportunity in the world.
Mike, you got to realize this is a residential area, so they're literally within 50 yards of several homes. So blowing the thing up would not be something that would ever be an option for them right there in that type of setting.
Right. Well, I'm just trying to give people an idea of, you know, how hard it is for them. I mean, like, we had residential areas like that, and we do have things that can, you know, pretty much not make that big a mess that people think it makes. But, I mean, even a little grenade is only 50 meters around in an explosive area. But, yeah, it's a residential neighborhood. I mean, it's so obviously, you know, you wouldn't want to be doing that anyways. But, you know, it just shows how hard the cops' jobs are. I mean, it's not like they have that option. They can't pull out a missile and say, okay, we're not going to play with these guys. If we're going to take them out, you know, go on to the next one. I mean, they have to go, you know, meticulously through everything and to sit there. And their goal is to try and beat the sun.
I'm going to interrupt you for a minute because we're going to have to go to a break here. So let me just put you on hold. It looks like they do have another suspect in the back seat who is still breathing. He's got an AR strapped to him. This is confirmed in the vehicle from police scanners. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this message. Hey, welcome back to the Radio Free California Network. We are bringing you live coverage of the San Bernardino mass shooting. This shooting occurred only 15 miles from where I live. And as a matter of fact, it is the road, Waterman is the road that people take up the mountain into the Lake Arrowhead, Twin Peaks, Crestline area. And right now, I'm watching live on television in the 1700 block of San Bernardino Avenue, which runs just off the freeway. It's sort of the border between Redlands and San Bernardino. That is where they have one suspect down. They have a black SUV riddled with bullets. They have law enforcement officers who evidently are in a standoff with one other suspect who was in the back of the vehicle, and he is evidently alive. That is what the report went out over the scanner. He's alive. He's got an AR strapped to his back. There's another report that the SWAT team has been dispatched to another address. So there may be a third suspect. I don't know. You can actually, it's strange. It's eerie. You can see these police officers in full alert standing there ready to take this guy down. There are some who are in a tank-like vehicle behind it. Another are standing next to another defensive vehicle. And then part of the eerie scene is the windshield wipers keep going, even though the windshield has been shot out. And there's fluid leaking from the actual vehicle, and they're trying to evidently get this or deal with this individual who is in the back seat. We're taking your calls as well, 323-746-8255, if you know anything about it. We've been talking with Mike from Wrightwood. Mike, did you have anything to add to that?
Hey, it's actually, if you're, watching what's going on right now, LA SWAT team is considered to be one of the world's top. They're not just, the country's, but I mean, so many people go there to train, and when you see the vehicles getting closer, kind of rules out the fact that they might think there's a bomb. Otherwise, they're not going to get so close. But there's a guy in the turret that's, got a beam on the guy. There's a guy in the front. And what they're going to do is just watch his hands. They're going to watch every movement he makes. They're going to tell him exactly which movements he's going to make to come out. And anything that he defers from that is probably going to end his life. So, I mean, they're making sure that, they can try and take this guy.
And they're positioned in a way that they won't shoot each other. I mean, crossfire. But they're taking every precaution because this guy clearly came armed with an intent to kill. We don't know what his motive was. We don't know anything about the motivations that would cause these individuals, multiple individuals, to go into the Inland Regional Center. If you're just joining us today, earlier at around 11:20, they went in. There was a Christmas party going on. They shot 14 people dead. There's 17 wounded, and it is still ongoing. They're in a standoff with one of the suspects believed to be still alive, and you've got a massive manhunt that has been occurring all over San Bernardino and all over these massive buildings, resulting in a standoff and a shootout in the 1700 block of San Bernardino Avenue, which is right between San Bernardino and the city of Redlands. And that party earlier was the county health department. The Christmas party was for the county health department, so for county workers. So it's kind of, it doesn't really offer any insight into what the motivation would be unless somebody really had a gripe with a lot of the people who work there.
Right. Well, they also put out a thing earlier saying that this place has done drills like monthly, and people were tired of it. So they know that there's cameras inside the building. They know that they've always been preparing for something like this. So when they put out the first report that there was 3 people, you would kind of think that, at some point that one of the first things they did was went after the video, dedicated a description to see what kind of vehicle was possible there. So they had a lot of stuff to work with right off the bat as soon as they got into that building. And when they said, originally there was 3, I would kind of believe that there were, was in the, report that they're chasing a third. But, if you notice when the SWAT team pulled up, that's when you saw 30 or so, police are all back because they were actually in a bad position.
Yeah, they're rolling up some kind of some kind of vehicle that offers cover, and it's it almost looks like one of those bomb robots that they use, but it's not. I'm not sure what it is because they have personnel getting on this vehicle. They're and given that they found an explosive device at the scene, which they detonated earlier, it's possible. Evidently, it's called a Bearcat, so they're going to. I don't know if they're going to try to get in a closer position because it offers some cover, which is clearly what they need. and because they've got to get this they got to get this guy into custody, and then the big question is this the last suspect, or did they split up? Is there actually a third suspect or only two? We don't know.
Yeah, and some of these vehicles are actually equipped with a device that can stop like any kind of phone calls, any kind of electronic stuff that'll go in there. So if a guy's trying to like detonate something, like from another point, it helps them out with that, because they can get like a 50-meter around area that'll stop all stuff going in. But when you watch the police and how they're set up, I'd be surprised if if there's any chance there's a bomb right now. Those vehicles can take a pretty good blast, but you still don't want your personnel standing out in the street. And because of that, I was kind of shocked when, we started seeing the police get out of the vehicles, and we already knew that they detonated one device. But, I mean, since they've gotten half the window shot out, they can see through pretty much everything else. They do have a really good look at this guy. They know exactly when his eyes blink, when they don't blink. And, it's now up to SWAT. That's why you're seeing everybody else draw back, because, they're sending in the world's best to take this in and to finish this. And they're going to do everything in the world to take this guy alive and try and find out why, what, and all the rest of those good reasons everybody wants to know. But, we're seeing the police today doing what they do best, and the stuff that everybody reports against them all the time. They need to look at these kind of situations and know that we still need these guys no matter what they do. Maybe one's bad, but there's about 1,000 of them that are great. And these guys out there today are the most, they're the greatest experts we're going to have to protect us. And we need to support these guys at every point. But
well, there's clear, yeah, they're clearly in a dangerous situation. They're taking all precautions. They're taking cover on a vehicle called a Bearcat, which looks like it's a track vehicle that has a I don't know, almost like a I want to say a bulldozer. You could put a bucket on it or something, but instead it has a protective shield that individuals on the SWAT team could ride in, but they can also shoot from where they are and shoot from safety. And it looks like they're going to roll in with that and get right up on it. It's unfolding. It is happening live right here at the 1700 block of San Bernardino Avenue. If you know San Bernardino, then you know that is pretty much the dividing line, at least when you get out to the 210 freeway between Redlands and San Bernardino, and it is not terribly far from the Inland Regional Center, where earlier today the reports are 2 or 3 armed individuals wearing all black masks, tactical gear, body armor, came in and shot up a Christmas party being held by the county health department, killed 14 confirmed, with 17 wounded from that incident. And the conclusion is happening live right now at this standoff that is taking place, and we will continue to bring you updates on this and let you know exactly what is happening and what the conclusion is. And we also will bring you the reaction of of course, the politicians, President, what's his face, Obama, already calling for gun control. They can't even let people, they can't even let people get buried before they start politicizing. It's deeply unfortunate, especially when this is happening in your own backyard. We don't have any idea who they are. We don't know, even though there were random reports they were white, they were Middle Eastern. We don't know. They were wearing masks. We don't know what their motive was. We have no idea at this point. It could be some kind of a grudge. It could be an act of terrorism. We just don't know. But what we do know is we're going to take a quick break, and we will continue with our live coverage of the tragedy, the mass shooting here in San Bernardino. And if you want to call in, feel free, 323-746-TALK. Hey, you are listening to the Radio Free California Network, and we have been bringing you live coverage of the standoff between the San Bernardino mass shooting suspects who got into an altercation with San Bernardino police, and one suspect is confirmed dead. He is laying on the street. They are working with all kinds of vehicles. They've got this Bearcat closing in on the SUV right up near the back window, where there are reports that the one suspect is still alive inside the back seat. And there's been a lot of confusion all day. If you're just tuning in, there was a mass shooting that occurred at 11:15 this morning at the Inland Regional Center, which was holding a Christmas party, the county health department, and 2 or 3 men, it's still not confirmed whether it's 2 or 3. Right now, they have 2 suspects in their sights, let me say that. But they burst into the building, and they came in with a mission, carrying long guns, dressed in all black masks, with body armor, tactical gear, according to witnesses inside. And right now, we are watching this unfold live, and I'm bringing it to you live. But you have a phalanx of police officers, law enforcement, SWAT, who are surrounding this black SUV. There are 2 defensive vehicles that have sandwiched it in so that it cannot be driven anywhere. And there is a Bearcat with SWAT officers on it who are moving in and taking every precaution to be certain, because obviously you don't know what the motivation is. You don't know who the individuals are. You don't know why they did this, but you know that they came prepared to bring death and destruction in their wake. And the officers are trying to make sure that no more death or destruction occurs unless it's simply to the suspect, so that every one of these first responders, these law enforcement agents, can go home to their families tonight. We do know there was a report earlier of 1 officer down. We don't know the situation there at this time, but we are monitoring this very closely, and we're also taking your calls. If you happen to know anything about it, if you were in the area or you have family that work there, we would be happy to talk to you. They're panning away from the scene, and you've never seen so many police cars on a single street. I have never seen that many. It's eerily reminiscent of the hunt for the Sarnoff brothers, when you had an army of police all over the streets of Boston after the Boston bombing. And here, I think what a lot of people want to know is why. Why would you go into somebody's Christmas party and shoot people? Because see, one thing that you would think is, if it was a workplace violence where one individual has an issue with another individual, that would usually be one person. But when you have multiple people, it brings into question whether or not this was an act of terrorism. The president didn't wait around to find out if it was an act of terrorism. Sean, if we have that clip of the president's comments, let's roll those for a minute.
Well, we don't know that much yet. It's still an active situation. FBI is on the ground offering assistance to local officials as they need it. It does appear that there are going to be some casualties, and obviously our hearts go out to the victims and the families. The one thing we do know is that we have a pattern now of mass shootings in this country that has no parallel anywhere else in the world. And there's some steps we could take, not to eliminate every one of these mass shootings, but to improve the odds that they don't happen as frequently.
Wow. Unbelievable that he would even start in on that political gobbledygook when we don't even know anything about what happened. Going back to the phones, taking your calls. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tim. It's Rick from Apple Valley. How you doing?
Hey, Rick. I'm doing all right. How about you?
Pretty good. I've been listening to this today, too. I've heard people talking about whether it's a workplace violence or whatever. All three of these guys are on the same page. They either like the government or they don't like Christians. If they don't like Christians, I'd say 2 out of 3 of their names is going to be Muhammad, and the third one's middle name will be Muhammad. And that's probably what's going on.
Yeah, and it's frustrating that we don't know, but they kept their identities masked. Evidently, there was one eyewitness who said that they were fully dressed in black. At least the one individual she saw was a large individual, fully dressed in black, and that he had body armor and tactical stuff. So clearly, these are people. This isn't some guy that, got upset with his boss and ran home and got his handgun and came back. This is somebody who went in there to create mayhem and death.
Yeah, they're serious people. And who was it that put out the word that it was 3 white men if they're all covered and you can't see nothing?
No, I don't know. I've seen a whole lot of stuff on the internet today, and I'm not reporting anything as definitive until we know the facts, because there's just no point.
Oh, yeah, but I heard on numerous reports that it was said to be 3 white men, and the funny thing is Obama up here going to continue to use this to disarm us, so this can keep on happening. So, Rick, he's not people with guns.
I'm sitting here in my living room, and I can tell you, I can tell you that I was not unarmed. I was locked and loaded, because many of these suspects flee into the mountains, and then they break into somebody's home. And if they got body armor on, the only chance I'm going to have is with a powerful long arm. Not even my tactical shotgun would do virtually any good. Anyway, we'll have to leave it there. We'll be right back after these. Stay tuned. Hey, you are tuned to the Radio Free California Network studio. We have been covering all day, as all the news stations have, this mass shooting in San Bernardino, which is not far from this, well, for most of you, if you are within the sound of my voice on Talk 960 at least, you are within very close to where this happened. And if you're just tuning in, I want to just bring you up to speed. There was a Christmas party for county employees, county health department, going on at the Inland Regional Center. That is a center where the developmentally disabled are able to get services and help, and it's a massive complex on Waterman Avenue near the 10 freeway, and the suspects, of whom there were either 2 or 3, we don't know, burst in to the Christmas party, killed 14 people, injured 17. They were dressed in all black with all kinds of tactical gear, body armor, and et cetera. And I'm watching right now live. They've cornered 2 of the suspects, and there is another up the street from where the black SUV was. There's a whole other SWAT contingent, which appears to be going after possibly the 3rd suspect. And we're watching this. There's so many variables going on because you can't keep up with it. I don't think anyone's prepared for this level of what appears to be random, but obviously these people were serious. They were serious about killing. They were serious about going in and taking the lives of as many people as they could. We don't know why, and I suspect it will come down as Rick from Apple Valley was saying, to either they hate Christians or maybe they hate the government. I don't know. I'm not gonna pass any judgment until I get facts, because we already have the president. We have all the Democrat presidential candidates opining and blathering, and we certainly don't need anyone else giving false opinion. I mean, gun control is laughable when you think about what these individuals were doing. They took guns that are legal to buy, went in, they protected themselves because they knew they were going to be shot at because they're trying to kill people and take their lives. And the government, the only thing the government wants to do is limit how many bullets you can have in your gun to shoot back. And I think that's, I think everyone listening would agree that that's just idiotic. We've got Paul calling from Barstow. Paul, welcome.
Hi, Tim.
How are you?
I just have to tell you that this is another dramatic example of the effects of global warming.
Touche. I mean, let's go to Paris and hold another global warming conference. Good Lord. Yeah, it certainly is ludicrous to think that while our government is trying to literally disarm us in the name of global warming, they're trying to take away our freedom and tax us to death in the name of global warming, and they blame everything under the sun on global warming or global climate change, which I call climate control. And yet, here's the thing. When these suspects were on the loose, had they made it up Waterman Avenue to my home in the San Bernardino Mountains or anyone else's home, the only way to stop them at that point would be to have enough bullets in your gun. And at that point, that's really where the gun control argument should take place. How many bullets do you want to limit the law-abiding citizen to when he's confronted by a terrorist or a madman or a mass shooter of unknown origin who probably has a 30-round clip in their AR or AK, AK-47? Well, at any rate, it's that's really the only question related to anything to do with gun control that anybody should be talking about. When politicians start saying things like we need to do things of that nature, it's just ludicrous. We are going to go back to the phones. I'm wondering if this may be. Well, I'll just take the call. Hey, welcome to the Tim Donnelly Show. Welcome to the show. You're live on air. That was strange. Not sure. We are. Yeah, I muted it and unmuted it. But yeah. Anyway, we'll see if they call back. We're expecting a call from Frank Gaffney if he's able to call in, and we'll take his call because he's an expert at national security, and as I was saying, we just don't know if this particular incident that is unfolding before our eyes. If you're watching it on television, you're watching an army of SWAT officers going up a street, and they are saying that the shooting suspects are not in custody, and they are continuing the search for the individuals who committed mass murder this morning at 11:15 a.m. Pacific time in a regional center. Who goes into a regional center to kill people? I mean, I guess unless you're just trying to do it for effect. But clearly, I'm very curious to know how the Christmas party plays into it. The idea that somebody would go in and shoot people at a Christmas party is something that I cannot even fathom. Now they're saying that there's a report the suspect is holed up in a church, and you can see the SWAT officers are surrounding the church and moving onto its grounds. And we'll take a quick break and bring you more live coverage here on the Radio Free California Network when we get back. Stay tuned. Okay, so we are back here at the Radio Free California Network, and it is hard to keep track. The news is breaking so fast, but evidently the suspects fled to an area nearby and fled the vehicle they were in. One is dead, laying on the street with his long arm. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, then let me inform you. There was a mass shooting earlier today. Let me change that from mass shooting to mass murder was committed in San Bernardino today. Mass murder. There were 3 suspects, evidently, that barged into a Christmas party being held by county employees, county health employees, county health department at the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino on Waterman Avenue near the 10 freeway. And the suspects fled, it is believed, in a black SUV that was driving evidently very calmly off. It was seen driving calmly off the location of the Inland the Inland Regional Center. And I was listening on the television coverage, and it sounded as if they took someone hostage, and that individual was able to escape, but that's not confirmed yet. So I'm just, as I said, the information is breaking so quickly. It's hard to keep up, but one suspect is holed up in a church. One suspect is confirmed dead, or possibly 2. And the police are searching for one additional suspect right now as we speak. And we are covering this. And we're bringing you, by the way, there was a police officer, we told you earlier about a police officer who was shot. He is in decent and stable condition. He is at the hospital receiving treatment. So that's good news. And this thing is definitely consuming a great number of law enforcement resources. They're combing this neighborhood on San Bernardino Avenue in San Bernardino, right near the border with Redlands. And it's hard to overstate the massive deployment of law enforcement that are on every corner. They are cruising around in defensive SWAT vehicles, and they're searching, and they're going door to door, looking for this individual. And here's the thing: we don't know what their motivation was, and we don't even know what their description is. We don't know if they were white or black or Hispanic or Asian. We don't know anything about them. We do know that the president thinks he knows everything that he needed to know, which is that we need more gun control. But my question is very simple. If these suspects were to come to your door, would you want more bullets or less? I wouldn't want to put my life in their hands, or the life of my loved ones. I would not want to trust that by any stretch of the imagination. I would want to be in control, and I'd want to know that I could defend their lives. And what is Obama talking about? He's talking about taking away your rights as a law-abiding citizen. He's talking about taking away your fundamental right to defend your life. And this is an area where I just draw a line in the sand, and basically have a simple message for any of these worthless, idiotic politicians that right now, while the suspects are still on the loose, are babbling about gun control, when there is no amount of gun control that is going to stop these individuals who clearly, we don't know what their motivation was, but we're going to find out. But they were clearly hell-bent on killing as many people as they could at this Christmas party. There are 14 confirmed dead. There are 17 who were injured in the initial assault. And now it is unfolding on the streets of San Bernardino as the police are searching for the possible shooting suspect, that there may be one or more who are still not in custody or dead. And as I said, we don't know their motivation. We don't know their race. There were unconfirmed reports. Initially, they were Middle Eastern. Then they said they were white, and then they just stopped saying. But what eyewitnesses said, they were clothed in all black with black masks. So it's very hard to tell. And there's no point in speculating at this point. But people generally don't go on killing sprees in groups unless they are part of some sort of a group or ascribe to an ideology that is, what else can you say? That believes they somehow have a right to kill people with whom they disagree. It doesn't have the feeling of it being a workplace violence. Workplace violence is usually one individual. They usually grab whatever gun they have in a fit of rage and come back. There have been examples. There have been examples of people coming back with much more heavily armed. I remember that incident up in San Francisco where they went into the building and they were just shooting in this office building and killing anyone that he could find, and until the guy ran out of bullets. And look, my contention is very simple. Why would you want to force me to run out of bullets defending my life? Because I would never commit a mass shooting. I would never do anything like that. That is not in my nature. It is not in the nature of the 99.99999% of law-abiding gun owners in this country. The people who commit these kinds of things are either mentally ill, they have some kind of a workplace grudge, or they are Islamic terrorists, and we don't know which it is. Now, I suppose if this were Ireland, they could be the IRA, and they could be, something other than Islamic. But as far as history bears out, and as far as the only people who have been making threats to kill as many people as they can are the Islamic jihadists, in particular ISIS, it wouldn't surprise me if we find out later that that's who these individuals were. I don't know. 323-746-TALK is our number, 323-746-8255. If you wish to call in, we'll go straight to the phones, pick up your calls. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hello, can you hear me?
Welcome to the show. You're live on air.
Hi, Tim. This is Mike Hendrickson. How are you?
Hey, Mike. How are you? I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. I was less than a mile from these events today. Didn't hear or see much about it, but my son is a client of that Inland Regional Center, and the front doorway to that building, when you walk inside, is an enclosed room with two receptionists sitting directly in front of you behind bulletproof glass, with buzzer access doors to the right or to the left. And once you get inside those rooms, you are locked inside of another room with buzzer access to go in from there. They're actually, from the front entrance standpoint, they're actually fairly secure buildings. I don't know where these guys got in today. I haven't heard. but the side doors to those buildings are just standard office building doors. They're mirrored, but they're not armed. There's no resistance to them whatsoever. A good kick shatters the glass. A bullet shatters the glass. They're in. So I don't know how these guys got in, but they didn't walk to the front entrance to the building. That much I can tell you for sure.
Yeah, well, Mike, thanks for the call. I there's so much we don't know, but boy, that isn't stopping the politicians from jumping to conclusions, which really isn't helpful at all, because I think on U.S. soil, we're not used to the idea that people are going to try to kill Americans. We watched it happen in France, but that's still a long way away. And if this turns out to be what I suspect it may be, certainly more gun control ain't going to stop anything. But Mike, thanks for the call. I'm glad to know that you and your family and your son are okay and not involved in any of this. We are going to continue our coverage. We'll take your calls. If you're on hold, stay on hold. But we have to take a break here, and be right back after this. Hey, welcome back to the show. We've been monitoring this tactical situation as law enforcement agencies. You've got ATF, FBI, San Bernardino Police Department, and San Bernardino Sheriffs, who are going right now door to door in a neighborhood near a church where they are searching. The SWAT team has surrounded a nearby church. They're searching for more suspects. There was a standoff and a shootout, and they are saying they do not have all the suspects in custody from this mass shooting. And, it certainly begs a lot of questions. It raises a lot more questions than it answers, but we're going to go to the phones, take your calls, and continue to cover this and monitor this for you. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hello?
Yes, you are live on air. Give me your first name and city, please.
Hi, Tim. My name is Robert, calling from the Inland Empire, and I'm first-time caller. I've been listening to you for a while. Reason why I'm calling, I've got some good intel as far as what the local authorities are not disclosing, and I guess for fear of freaking people out or wanting to put their own spin on it. But so far they've got two suspects down, and this information they're not releasing, but they are of Middle Eastern descent. And there's also go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I don't know why they wouldn't release that. I mean, it's not going to be a shock to anybody. ISIS has been going around saying, hey, we're going to kill as many of you as possible. And they did say they were going to start in New York, not California. And they also threatened the White House. But I don't think that'll shock anybody. But I find it interesting. I've heard that from about 5 or 6 people that I know and trust who have inside intel, but I haven't been able to report it because I don't have a source and not one that's willing to go public. So it's interesting that you're getting the same intel that I am.
Yeah, and in fact, it was a multi-pronged attack. It was an attack also down the street at some local business, and they're trying to. And so far, the little information that's coming out on that one, they're trying to make it as if it's some disgruntled employee rather than an actual connection to this shooting.
Yeah, but disgruntled employee situations usually involve one individual, not multiple individuals.
Yeah, and then again, I haven't heard much of anything on that one. But again, as far as the suspects, it wouldn't surprise me if you had 2 identical-looking cars with two different groups involved in this one. Wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of confusion on the ground. There's a lot of confusion in the media. I actually heard reporters giving information to some of the police information officials, the PIOs. There was so much, rumor and everything else flying around. But clearly, there are two suspects who are deceased, and we are watching as they are searching the neighborhood looking for a third. And it's hopefully they'll get this wrapped up before dark, because this is certainly not nobody's going to want to sleep anywhere in San Bernardino tonight unless they get this guy.
Yeah, well, they also know that the longer it takes them to find these people and find them quickly, the longer it takes, the greater chance of losing. I mean, for the trail to get cold.
Right.
They gotta get it while it's still.
Especially if it is a terrorist attack that it has nothing to do with the people there. See, that's the thing. It's not like a crime where you start sniffing through and you find out, well, there was a love triangle or there was a disgruntled employee or something that you can understand.
No, they're primarily targeting soft targets. And unfortunately, I mean, they're not going to go after, police station, they're not going to go after City Hall, that sort of thing. They're just primarily going off, real high visibility, soft targets to try and take as many people as they possibly can.
Yeah, and I stick to my guns, literally, when I say that this war is going to be fought. And once again, I'm not saying that this is what this is, but the war against Islamic Jihad, as Islamic jihadists bring the war to Western society, is going to be fought in public places. It's going to be fought in soft targets, and the only defense anyone will truly have will be the Second Amendment and their own training and their own mentality of understanding you're now on the front lines.
Yep, I agree.
Well, thank you for the call, and thanks for the update there, Robert.
No problem. Thank you, my friend.
I'm going to pick up another call here. You are live on the air. Give me your first name and city, if you would.
Talking to me, Tim?
Yes.
Okay, Tim. Hi, my name's Greg Rogers. I'm from Apple Valley, California. Currently at work right now. The last gentleman actually spoke of why the mainstream media is speaking of disgruntled employees instead of what the Bolo says on the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department about the Muslim gentleman that is the suspect. His name is Faraq Saeed. I was just wondering about that, and I also wanted to comment on, what are we going to do about this? Are we going to speak to the sheriff? Do you have any ideas about what we need to do? I mean, I know it's impossible for me to get a concealed carry in California, but other than that, I mean, I feel like a sitting duck.
Well, Greg, first of all, it's not impossible to get a concealed carry. This sheriff has indicated to me, anyway, that he wants to give out as many concealed carries as possible. Look, what is a concealed carry, though? What is that? That's just a piece of paper that you're going to need if you ever get into a shooting situation. If you understand that you're going to possibly be working or going in public to a place that's a soft target, and that probably covers 80% of us who work for a living. I would just carry. What are you going to do? You're going to get in trouble. You're going to get a misdemeanor, but you're going to be alive. To me, that's, I'm sure I'll be criticized for advocating for people to break the quote unquote law, but I'm not. I'm advocating for you to exercise a fundamental natural civil right that is ingrained and enshrined in the Bill of Rights in our Constitution.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I mean, it's been going through my head a lot lately, and maybe I just do need to start looking into getting my concealed carry a little bit more. I think we get a little discouraged with some of the stories and stuff that we hear about.
Yeah, and I don't. By the way, I don't want. Greg, give me 1 second. I don't want to discourage anyone from going out and asking permission and getting that piece of paper. That involves a lot of background checks. It involves some. You got to do some training. You got to be familiar with your firearm. You should be, but you don't need that.
I agree.
To exercise your fundamental natural right. I do advise people, and I know a lot of people are going to go out and buy their first gun. Hey, go to Turner's, first of all, because they support this show. Tell them Tim Donnelly sent you. They'll give you a discount. And then go to a range and find somebody. You could probably get free training from some ex-military, ex-cop who's out there who would love to share the knowledge that he or she has. And but we are the front lines. That's the bottom line. And as you watch these armies of SWAT going through the neighborhood, I want to be armed. I want to be armed when there's somebody that dangerous running around and the cops can't find him, but he may find you.
Right. I agree. And maybe you're right. It's just kind of time for people to start, I don't want to say taking things into their own hands, but at least taking their own protection, a little bit more seriously. And I'm law-abiding Joe as far as I can go. I don't want to break the law. I have a family. I don't need the trouble, but I don't need to be dead either.
Well, and that's really the question, Greg. Is do you want to go home and tell your wife, hey, I concealed carried at work today. I killed a bad guy who came in to kill us. I saved the lives of 17 people. And by the way, I'm being charged with a misdemeanor. Okay. I guarantee you she's going to give you a big hug.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
So, that's just where I come down. But, this is getting real. And if this does turn out to be as it is starting to sound like and look like and smell like Islamic terrorism and Islamic Jihad attack, and we don't know that, but nothing else really fits the description or makes any sense.
I don't think so.
But in the end, it doesn't matter. If some crazed gunman comes in, you don't care what his religion is or what his reason is. You just care that he's better armed than you, and he's spraying bullets with an AK-47 or an AR, and you want to at least have a 9mm or a 45, 1911 with hollow points in there to shoot back.
Right. I agree, and like you said, it's looking more and more serious, and I don't know. I guess we have to start treating our own homeland as a war zone. It's unfortunate to say that, but since a lot of this stuff has been going on, I mean, I can't go into a movie theater without thinking twice or making sure I know where all the exits are or anything like that. And on top of that, I don't want my wife in the malls during the busy times, and so we're already living under it. We're already living under it.
And there is no. I was talking to a lady this morning who disagrees with me on a lot of issues, but it was kind of funny because we came to some common ground on this. Because I told her, I said, look, these may be complex things. You may be nervous about citizens carrying guns, but when you have madmen carrying guns, let's just call them madmen, whether they're a lone shooter who goes onto a campus who's not Islamic, or it's an Islamic jihadist, it doesn't really matter. In the end, the only thing that will make a difference between life and death in that moment is an armed individual who is trained, understands how to use their firearm, and has the mindset to act in a way they can to defend and protect and secure the lives, their own life and the lives of those around them. Hey, thanks for the call, Greg. I got to take a break here, but appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
give us a call back and let us know if you ever do get that concealed carry. And by the way, I'll be glad to write you a letter of recommendation.
Hey, well, that would be awesome, Tim, and I appreciate what you do, and I enjoy listening to you. And you have a good evening, and I just want to let everybody know that I'm praying for them in San Bernardino and the families down there that have been involved, and everyone else. I mean, we're in some trouble here, and I think we really need some help. So thank you.
No, I appreciate your comments, your remarks, and your listening. Send me an email if you decide to go forward with that. Hey, you are tuned to the Radio Free California Network, and we've been bringing you live coverage of all the events that are unfolding right here in and near the Radio Free California listening area. And I'm going to go back to the phones and pick up your comments. Please give me your first name and city.
Hey, Tim. My name's Brian. I live in Victorville.
Hi, Brian.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm a little stressed out. I'm stressed out and freaking out.
Yeah.
I work for the county of San Bernardino. My wife works for the county of San Bernardino. I was hearing this all this morning live as it was happening over my county radio. And in fact, I called my wife. I work for a different department. She works for Department of Behavioral Health down there in San Bernardino.
Wow.
All the people that were targeted in the regional center, they were all county employees that were targeted. And there was 3 shooters. They were Arab descent. And I don't know why they're not saying it right now, because BS. The county employees, they're all communicating and talking. My wife personally knows people who were victims. She personally, these are all county employees that were shot and murdered. These were Arabs, murdered them. I don't know if they're Muslim, but I know they're Arab. I was hearing it on the police radio, on my radio, as it was happening. They already knew one of the people who was shooting them as it was happening. All hell's breaking loose. They're calling SWAT. They're bringing in all the different departments. I could hear them, everything on the radio. I'm just listening, and I couldn't do anything. I'm working out past Barstow, hearing all this on the radio. I can't do anything. I'm freaking out. I just want to get a hold of my wife. And
that's got to be so hard.
I'm stressing out. Oh, my gosh.
And were you able to get a hold of her?
Eventually, yeah. In fact, I'm the one who called her and told her as it was happening. She told her supervisors, and they put their building on lockdown. And then when they realized what was happening, they put all the county of San Bernardino buildings on lockdown, all the courthouses on lockdown, because these shooters were targeting county employees. In fact, the county has made all the employees take off their badges and make sure you're not an employee, because you don't want to look like an employee because you don't want to get shot. They don't even know why. But they're attacking county employees. That's who they were attacking. And they were of Arab descent. And in fact, I already heard on the police radio earlier, listening to my radio, my personal county radio, they already have an Arab woman in custody, or a Muslim woman in custody.
Well, I've been monitoring the police scanner, but I didn't start monitoring it, and I got an app for it, and it started picking it up about 1:30. So I'd heard from numerous sources, but I couldn't get confirmation from anybody. Nobody wanted to go on record and say it.
Oh,
and so it's really frustrating. But
I work for the county. Unfortunately, I hope I don't lose my job. Well, they don't know who the hell I am. So
they don't know your last name, Brian, and we're not going to get it.
Exactly. So, they're going to be pissed off. They'll be, okay, who's working out in Barstow? Well, there's like 50 of us in Barstow, but, the county should be saying something. They should be saying something. And the fact that Obama and other people are saying, oh, this is a gun control issue, oh, that is BS. That is BS to the max. In fact, my wife, working with the people she's worked with, I've been trying to push her supervisor that they should be able to be armed, because the people that they deal with on a day-to-day basis are insane. They want to hurt the county employees on a day-to-day basis. And so if we were armed, this would not have happened.
I'm with you, Brian. I am with you on everyone that is a citizen in good standing needs to be armed going forward, and they need to learn and train how to use their firearm.
And you know what? There wouldn't have been that many victims. There would maybe, as soon as someone comes in with the AR, well, okay, something's up. Why? Who comes in with the AR? Okay, obviously there's a problem. Or they're coming with AR and a face mask or whatever. Well, boom, there you go. If you're an open carry or you're a citizen, pull out your gun, you shoot them, you take them down.
Yeah.
Because
it's got to be a headshot because they were wearing body armor, but it's a lot harder to move around with an AR or an AK-47 than it is with a 45 or a 9mm.
Well, here's the sad thing. Some of the employees that were at the Christmas party that were getting killed, some of them were probation officers, some of them were Department of Behavioral Health, some of them were Department of I can't think, there's like 3 different departments that were there. But they went after the employees there. Then they left the building, and they were heading for the STAR program, which is a different county building, a different program. And they're going to go after those employees, but then they ended up leaving, the scene. But they were going after county employees.
Thank God they left. I'm watching right now a massive number of people being evacuated. They've got their hands in the air. Look like they were pulled out of a church or some sort of a building. Here's
what makes me pissed off. I was working on Barstow. I just got off work right now. I'm just now heading home. And I haven't really get a hold of my wife. She's little nidbits. Finally I get a hold of her because they finally let them leave. The employees, they had to let them leave in staggered times because they don't want them all leaving at 5 o'clock or all at 4:30. Whatever departments get off at whatever times because they don't want them all to get shot coming out of the buildings. So they're all changing their clothes and hiding their county badges and, leaving staggered because we're all scared. And we're scared because we have no protection. This is BS.
Well, Brian, we got to take a break here, but thank you for your call. And all of your county brothers and sisters are in our prayers at this moment and in the thoughts and prayers of our audience. Thanks for the call.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to get on the phone back with my wife. So, all right. Thank you, Tim.
Hey, if you are just joining us here at the Radio Free California Network, we have been covering the San Bernardino mass murder that occurred at Inland Regional Center. Inland Regional Center is, as all regional centers are here in California, is a place where the developmentally disabled are able to get help, services, counseling, and training. And there was a Christmas party going on. The Christmas party was, as you heard from our previous caller, let's see, Brian, it was all employees of the county health department. And Brian called in, his wife, he couldn't reach her for a long time, which I'm sure was really insanely difficult to deal with because he was way out past Barstow. But in the end, thankfully, his wife is okay. But there are 14 of those county employees who are dead. There are 17 who have been wounded and are at area hospitals. And there has been a shootout on San Bernardino Avenue. And if you know San Bernardino, that's the road that runs near the Wash, which separates Redlands from San Bernardino and Highland. And it is the law enforcement. I can't just say police because it is police. San Bernardino Police is the lead agency. You have San Bernardino sheriffs backing them up. You have the FBI and the ATF who are on hand if they need any resources. And they are hunting this final suspect, according to most of the reports I've read. There are 2 dead. And more we're hearing that the suspects are of Middle Eastern descent from a number of sources. So far, no one official has gone on air and said it, and so most news agencies probably will not report it until that happens. All I'm reporting to you is that people are reporting it. As a matter of fact, they're calling in here, and this fits the profile. Nothing else makes any sense. You don't have 3 disgruntled employees go into a Christmas party and start randomly killing people. It just doesn't make any sense. So this may be one of the most devastating and earliest attacks by an organization, an Islamic jihadist organization like ISIS. It may be ISIS operatives. We don't know. But we do know that there have been several reports, including reports over the police scanners. And we just heard from Brian and earlier from Robert in the Inland Empire that it is going out over county radio. And of course, everybody's connected. They know what's going on. So if you're out there and you know, or you're in the know, or you were affected by this, you're welcome to call in 323-746-8255. 323-746-8255 is our number. We'd be glad to bring you on air to talk about this, but it is devastating. There are 14 confirmed dead, 14 individuals who were enjoying a Christmas party or working in the facility, helping people, and 17 injured. So the death toll could have been much higher. Thankfully, something happened that sent these guys out of the building. They drove out in a black SUV, which later they had a confrontation with police on the streets. And in the 1700 block of San Bernardino Avenue, there was a massive shootout, hundreds of rounds fired. You can see the windshield of the SUV was blown out. As a matter of fact, for the whole time we were watching it, the windshield wipers were still going. And SWAT brought in 2 of these defensive vehicles to protect the lives of the officers from the suspect, who was dying in the back seat and evidently expired there. He had an AR strapped to his back, and there was another individual who died on the street, and his gun still in his hand, or fell from his hand as he fell to the ground, shot and killed by law enforcement. We still haven't heard anything, and we're waiting for a press conference, and they seem to have delayed it. I think they're probably trying to gather more information because there's so little known that you can actually report and say, hey, this is definitively what happened, other than the fact that we have the hard numbers that they came out with earlier, where they did confirm that there were 14 killed. And initially it was 14 injured, but then that was updated to 17. And you have the authorities combing this neighborhood. As a matter of fact, they gave out a little bit of information earlier that the area that they are shutting down, if you live south of San Bernardino Avenue and west of Mountain, they want you to shelter in place. They want you to stay where you are. And if you're wondering about any loved ones who work there, you can call 800-637-6653 in order to become connected and get information. That number again is 800-637-6653. We are going to continue and cover this because stories like this, we wish that we didn't have to cover them. And yet they're becoming more and more commonplace. We saw what happened in Paris, where people who were enjoying themselves, who were minding their own business, all of a sudden wound up face to face with deadly killers who had no regard for human life and no regard for anything else. And that, we're going to try to pick up a press conference. I don't know if we can. There's something going on at the Loma Linda Medical Center where many of the victims are being treated. Sean, I don't know if you can grab that feed. If that's something that's handy to you, let me know. Well, I don't know that we're going to be able to pick that up right now. What I do know is we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with more here on the Radio Free California Network. Hey, I've been on the break here. I've been studying and combing through the details. There's a press conference going on right now. I don't know if you can pick it up, but there's a survivor who's talking about 47 employees. They were barricaded in a room in building number 2, and it's on Fox 11 out of Los Angeles. Casper, I don't know if you can pick that up, but if you can, just go ahead and run it and break in, okay?
Police were yelling for me to get down. All guns were drawn, and as this was going on, waves and waves of police officers were coming from behind me, and the gunfire was kind of sporadic. It would fire up. I did my best to stay low. I managed to cross the street and got into a front yard and hid behind a block wall. While there was more shooting, and everything was really silent, but there were police just all over the place with guns drawn and agitated. And then at one point, a police officer saw me behind the block wall. He approached me with guns drawn, got very close, yelled at me. I explained I was a reporter. And then I had literally got caught up in this, and he withdrew his gun and told me to get out of there. And then a family took me in, and I waited it out in the yard, and then the police finally came, about a half hour later, came and said that they were getting ready to detonate a bomb they had found, and they asked the family members to get inside, and they realized I was a journalist, so they escorted me out at the crime scene.
David, did you see, this was all at the location of the SUV, correct?
Yes, and I did not see the SUV. I did not see the shooters or any of that. It just was a situation where there was just a lot of gunfire, and the shooting went on for about a 10-minute period, I would say, and then it got quiet again.
And so, did you say
I didn't see the suspects at all, though. I mean, I just never had a point of view of them.
Right. Did you say that you heard shooting while you were driving as well?
Yeah. That's how that's when I realized something was going on. I was actually driving about 30 miles per hour and hearing whipping sounds going by the car. And I found out later that where I was where initial engagement had occurred, and apparently there was. From what neighbors were telling me, some other eyewitnesses told me that they saw shooting going down as they were going down the street. So I don't know how accurate that is, but it does fit with what I saw.
So David, I'm just trying to zero in on a couple of details here. The shooting you heard while you were driving, about how far away were you from the location that you eventually ended up in? I'm just trying to get a sense of kind of how.
About a block.
Okay, so that shooting went on from the first time you heard it was about a block away from where you ended up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the vehicle, theoretically, then the SUV and the police were still on the move when those shots were being fired.
Yeah, the gun battle appeared to be going down the street.
Okay. And then about how far away from the SUV were you when you actually got out of your vehicle and were hiding behind a structure?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know that there was a black SUV right where I was hiding, and it was just stopped in the street, and I never was confirmed that was the suspect's vehicle or another vehicle that looked like it. It could have very well been, but I just don't know for sure.
Okay. But you didn't see an SUV that was shot up.
It was clear that the police, from my point of view, were looking in yards on the north side of the road. So it appears that the suspect got out of the vehicles, and the police were going in, looking in the homes on the north side of the street. And I took refuge on the south side of the street the whole time. So
when you were out of your vehicle and you heard shots being fired, was it your impression, again, you may not know the answer to this, was it your impression that there was incoming fire, or was that fire mostly outgoing from police toward the suspect?
I don't know which way it was going. That was one of the scary things about it. I could see police up front, and they were probably engaged in shooting, but I couldn't tell which police were shooting and which were not. it seemed as though like waves of police were just arriving behind me and running ahead of me with guns drawn, all guns of, some had handguns, others had assault rifles, and they were all different uniforms of the, I recognized Redlands Police, San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies, as well as California Highway Patrol, and I think I saw Colton Police as well. Colton's the neighboring city of San Bernardino.
Right. Well, David Donnelly, listen, I appreciate you telling us what you saw. Quite a dramatic day for you. David is with a reporter with the Press Enterprise. David, again, thank you very much. I'm glad you're doing okay. We're back with our panel: Lenny DePaul, Chris Swecker, Art Roderick, and Harry Hauk. Art, what do you make? What are you most interested in learning? I mean, in terms of the details that you've heard that stand out to you, and what do you need to know?
A live feed, I believe we picked up from CNN, and they're going to go back to a panel discussion. So we'll go ahead and drop them. But there was a survivor who is on. I'm watching right now. She's still talking on Fox 11 out of Los Angeles. I don't know if there's any way you guys can pick up that feed. She was telling an incredibly compelling story. I see. You can't really pick up the local LA channels. She and 47 employees were barricaded in a room. Her name is Melinda Rivera. They were in Building 2, and I guess the shooters didn't make it to that building, thank God. And these employees were able to get out with their lives. But it was quite a harrowing ordeal. Excuse me. They were communicating via cell phone, texting, and there were all kinds of reports going out everywhere. Of course, when something like this happens, you have a lot of information that begins to go out in a very short period of time, and including the county radios, which we heard from an employee earlier. I'm going to go ahead and go to the phones, take a quick call, because I want to get your input here. Hey, welcome to the show. Give me your first name and city, please.
Tim, it's Mike in Apple Valley. How you doing?
Hey, Mike. I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. First of all, tragic events today. My thoughts and prayers go out to the families of those affected. I have and this is a speculative thing, but I found it interesting, so I thought I would share it with you. I have a cousin who is a behavioral therapist that works closely with a regional center up in the middle of the state, up in the Visalia area. And she was one of the families that she actually has to work with is a newly placed Syrian refugee family who has a toddler that has some behavioral issues. And she decided today to get her monthly visit out of the way with them at about 10 o'clock this morning. And she said that about 11:10, the dad came home really stressed out, yelling, screaming, to the point where it freaked her out, and she decided to leave. And 5 minutes later, things started unfolding a few hundred miles south. She's reported that to the proper authorities, but I just found that really interesting that she knew nothing of it. She had no reason to go there today, other than she thought she would just get her monthly visit out of the way, because she said that makes her nervous for obvious reasons going, but it's her job, so she goes. And then to have that unfold just sort of sent a chill down her spine, wondering exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Well, that's look, here's the thing. We are now on the front lines, and the bottom line is it matters that if you do have information, you get it to the proper authorities and you understand and take things seriously, because the people who want to kill us are deadly serious about what they're doing, and there's no regard. There's no negotiating. There's no holding sacred human life. And And that is what I think is so hard for many people to grasp. But we're coming to grips with it, Mike. And you heard some of the previous callers say, look, I'm probably going to go out and get my first gun. I'm probably going to go out and get a CCW. I'm going to train. I'm going to learn how to defend myself. But along with that, we got to train our minds to be alert to things that are happening that we would never believe would happen to us. And yet here it is. San Bernardino. Mike, thanks for the call, by the way. San Bernardino, 14 confirmed dead, 17 wounded, and this is still ongoing. You have a massive army of law enforcement searching for the final suspect or suspects. 2 are dead, and we still don't know who or why. We've heard through the grapevine, through the rumor mill, that they might be Middle Eastern or Islamic terrorists, but we don't know. So we're not going to make any assumptions, but it is looking more and more like this may be a terrorist attack here in San Bernardino, and we will keep you posted. So stay tuned to the Radio Free California Network, and we'll keep you up to date. We are back here at the Radio Free California Network. And of course, as you, I'm sure, know by now, if you're just driving home, if you're just tuning in, the shooting, the mass murder committed in San Bernardino at the Inland Regional Center, which is a place where the developmentally disabled get help, get training, get all kinds of services. Evidently, 3 gunmen burst in and took the lives of 14 individuals. County health employees. Sean, I don't know if you can see. Can we pick up this news conference?
Into these situations
that's happening live.
Working with local law enforcement here in California, especially, I've been a number of scenes. But I know the FBI is obviously very active.
Let's go to the press conference in Southern California.
The first press conference, but I will say this: since that time, we are still working on the building here at the Inland Regional Center. As officers were searching the building, we had mentioned in the first press conference that there were some suspicious devices. One of those devices is believed to potentially be an explosive device, so they're taking a very cautious, very slow approach to processing that building and rendering that safe. So I would imagine we're going to be here for several hours as the bomb squad continues to work that part. On the investigative side, we had followed up on some tips. That took us to a residence in the city of Redlands. When officers were setting up on that residence to watch it, there was a vehicle that was seen leaving that was suspected of possibly being involved. There ended up being a pursuit of that vehicle, and eventually that pursuit came back to San Bernardino Avenue between Mountain View and Richardson here in the city of San Bernardino, where the suspect vehicle stopped and there was an officer-involved shooting. We had multiple officers that were involved in the shooting. We have 2 suspects that are dead at the scene. One is a male, one is a female. We had 1 police officer that was wounded. He has injuries that are not considered to be life-threatening, and he is at a local hospital and is expected to be okay. Of the suspects that are dead at the scene, 1 is a male, 1 is a female. They were dressed in kind of assault-style clothing, I think is probably the best way to term it. They are both armed with assault rifles. They are both armed with handguns. And there's also kind of some sensitive stuff around the vehicle that they're just not real sure. They're taking a very cautious approach to dealing with the vehicle in case there's more explosives there. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dave Bowditch with the FBI to talk about some parts of the investigation.
Thank you, Chief. So first off, my name is David Bowditch. I'm the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI here in the Los Angeles field office. B-O-W-D-I-C-H. First off, we want to extend our true sadness to the families of the victims. There are many, many victims who were involved here. Some are obviously deceased. Others are wounded and being treated as we speak. This is truly a tragedy in our country, and we will continue to apply all the resources necessary to assure that both us, the Sheriff's Department, the San Bernardino Police Department, as well as the ATF, work this thing together to assure that we have chased down every lead to solve this case. Secondly, we are bringing in FBI resources. We have agents on a house in Redlands, California right now. That house, as we know, we do not know the contents of what's in that house, but previous active shooter incidents have shown us that there are times when devices are left behind. We do not have any indications there are devices to my knowledge, but we certainly are going to proceed very cautiously into that house to preserve life and limb of our employees. We're bringing evidence response teams in to work hand in hand with our state and local partners on the officer-involved shooting scenes, as well as the scene here where we have multiple victims, as well as the house. We will continue to go down this road. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I know one of the big questions that will come up repeatedly is this terrorism? And I am still not willing to say that we know that for sure. We are definitely making some movements that it is a possibility. We are making some adjustments to our investigation. It is a possibility, but we don't know that yet. And we're not willing to go down that road yet.
David, the relationship between the two dead suspects?
Unknown at this point.
How old approximately are they?
I do not even know that.
This is a third suspect. They were talking about third suspect.
There is a third suspect, and I don't know the disposition of that suspect. I would defer to that question to the chief. What I will tell you on any indications of terrorism or this investigation, and I've told a few of you already, we will go where the evidence takes us. Now, it's possible it goes down that road. It's also possible it does not. We're just not sure yet, and when we are fairly sure, we will let you know.
David, do you have a motive for this?
Possibly terrorism.
There are a number of potential, and there's a few potential things, but we just don't know, and I'm not willing to go down that road. This is a very fluid, active investigation. We are still gathering facts. All the heads of agencies that we have here, we are still gathering some of these facts ourselves, because this scene is strewn throughout the city and into another city, and it's incredibly fluid, and that's just the way these things. We'll get there when we get there.
Chief, do you have any information about the identity of the third suspect, description, age, anything?
So I should have included that in my in when I talked a moment ago. So as I said, we had an officer-involved shooting on Samuel Avenue between Mountain View and Richardson. There were two people in the vehicle. Both of those people are deceased. There was a third person that was seen running away. We do not know if they were involved. We have that person detained. I don't have any information on who that person is yet, and we certainly do not know if they were involved. It's possible that they were not. In addition to that, and the reason we put things out on social media that we asked for people to shelter in place in those neighborhoods is because there were some folks that called in and had reported that they heard somebody jumping fences, and they reported some of that activity in the neighborhood. We don't know if that was possibly responding officers, but we took a cautious approach. We locked down the neighborhood. We asked people to shelter in place, and we searched that neighborhood extensively. As of a couple minutes ago, we just got word that that search has been wrapped up. No additional folks have been contacted or seen there, so we feel that that area is safe and we can lift that shelter in place order there.
Chief, do you have a motive yet, and why this location?
We do not have a motive.
Approximate age of the suspect?
We do not. I do not have that right now. I do not. Keep in mind that I said that there were some things that were causing the officers to take a very, very cautious approach in approaching those suspects, and so we just are not that far into the investigation yet.
Suicide vest, Chief, is that possible?
I'm sorry?
Possibility these suspects might have had suicide vests or something similar?
I don't know. I have not heard suicide vests, no.
Do you believe that this whole situation is all clear, that people are safe, or there's still more shooters potentially out there?
We feel confident about the neighborhood where the officer-involved shooting took place. that we have secured that, and there's nobody outstanding there. We're reasonably confident on that. On the broader scale of the investigation, as I said early on, we had information that there were potentially 3 shooters. We are still at a point where we are tracking down that information. We are going to try to continue to identify if there was a third person involved, or potentially even more people that might have been involved in the planning. But we're still pretty early on that part of the investigation.
Chief, there's been a number of reports about a holiday party.
I can't listen to all of them.
Chief, there's a report out that at the holiday party, somebody left angrily, went out, came back with 2 other people, guns, and started firing. Any truth to that?
So I have heard that they were in a meeting or a holiday party type event at the Inland Regional Center. Somebody did leave, but we have no idea if that is the person that came back.
Oh, so that's a possibility then?
Somebody did leave. There was some type of dispute or something when somebody left that party, but we have no idea if those are the people that came back.
Chief, do we have any idea what kind of weapons were recovered at the point of the shootout? You said long guns initially.
They were assault style weapons.
Semi-automatic rifles, AK series, AR?
Yeah, that type of weapon, yes.
Are there explosives, sir, near that black SUV currently?
There was a report that they potentially threw what was identified as a pipe bomb. I think we've rendered that device safe. It was not an explosive. I think we're still working on the vehicle and making sure that that is safe.
Can you give us anything on description of these suspects, their appearance or ethnicity, anything, age?
Just the way that it was described to me is, and I said this in the first press conference, they came dressed and equipped, and I think the people that we have at the scene that are deceased are dressed in that way. They're dressed in dark kind of tactical gear, I think is the best way I'll put it.
Ethnicity, anything like that? Do you have any
I don't know. I don't know.
So, since you served a search warrant, is it your understanding that they...
I didn't say we served a search warrant.
Okay. So you understand you served a search warrant, some were being told. So is it your understanding that they were holed up in the general area then the whole time? They never left?
No, there was information on the early part of the investigation. As we started to develop information, there was one particular focus area that we went. There were a couple, but there was one particular focus area that we went to, and it was one of those follow-ups, focus areas that led us to the house in Redlands, that led to the ultimate pursuit that led to the officer-involved shooting.
Here they live there. Is that their house?
The address was connected to the follow-up that we had. I don't know who the suspects are, nor do I know if that is where they lived.
Chief, do you believe that the police killed 2 people in the SUV?
They were carrying assault-style weapons. I don't know the specific caliber or make or model of the gun.
Chief, the arrest at Aurora.
Hang on, real quick.
People in the SUV?
There were 2 people in the SUV. Both of them are deceased.
The police killed them both.
One male, one female. While they were engaged in the gun battle with police officers, and we had several officers that shot at them and into the vehicle. I don't know what bullets caused their death.
Third person in custody, but you're not sure they're involved.
We have a third person that was seen leaving the area. He is detained. We do not know the extent of his involvement, if any. It's possible that he was not.
Arrested at Aurora and Colson?
The person was detained very close to where the officer involved shooting. We don't have an Aurora.
Was he wearing similar clothing?
I don't know.
There was an arrest on Colson Street.
There was somebody detained.
They be identified?
We have not identified them yet.
Chief, did that person have weapons on him? That third suspect that's detained? Any weapons located on that person?
I don't have that information.
Were there any words exchanged during this gunfire that you can speak of between the suspects and the police?
I don't know.
What's their nationality?
Don't know. Okay, we're going to try to do another press conference sometime around 8:30, 9 o'clock. Hopefully we'll have more information for you at that time. Thank you.
And right here, we'll take a quick break and come back with the final segment here on the Radio Free California Network. It has been a long day for everyone in San Bernardino. We, first of all, want to make sure that we say this. I said it a couple times in some posts and other things, and many guests on the show, many callers have said it. But our thoughts and our prayers are with everyone who has been affected by this tragedy, this act of mass murder. We still don't know definitively why or really what. Here's what we do know. Let me stick with that. It's much easier. What we do know is that 3 gunmen, 3 suspects dressed in all black, black masks in tactical gear with body armor and as what the authorities call assault-style weapons. They're just semi-automatic rifles capable of shooting mass quantity of bullets, of course, especially if they use 30-round clips, which I'm sure they would. If you're trying to kill as many people as possible, that's what you would do. And they barged in to a Christmas party. They keep saying a holiday party. It was not a holiday party. It was a Christmas party. And they killed 14 individuals, most of whom I assume will be county employees who work for the County Department of Health. And then they mysteriously left the building for reasons we don't know and wound up an hour or so later, or several hours later, in a gun battle on a street near San Bernardino on the border with Redlands. And evidently the police have tracked the suspects to a home in Redlands, and they're taking major precautions because they expect booby traps. There was just a press conference that you heard, and if you were listening, David Bowditch, the Los Angeles spokesman for the FBI, said, "We can't confirm it was terrorism, but we are beginning to see some things that are leading us in that direction." So clearly, it appears that this may wind up being a terrorist attack, and right now we have no idea by whom. We have no idea what the motivation would be and why this target. Obviously, it's a soft target. It's a place where you could attack a lot of people and get a maximum impact, I suppose, if your goal was to kill innocent people, and particularly, I mean, to go after the Inland Regional Center. Regional centers are places where the developmentally disabled get services, they get training, they get assistance in their integration into everyday life, and it's a place that helps people. And it's just incomprehensible by the Western mindset. I say that because it is my belief that we need to change our mindset. We need to be focused on understanding the new reality. And the new reality is that every one of us as American citizens, every one of us in the Western world for that matter, who is part of Western society, is likely to be a target. Now, whether or not this turns out to be ISIS or turns out to be Islamic jihadists, only time will tell, and we'll know. But even if it isn't, it is these kinds of events that they intend to do, that they intend to carry out. They've stated it. They've warned us. They've gone on YouTube. They've gone on video. They've gone on the news. They've gone on social media and said, we will be killing as many people as we can. Fear us. They want to strike terror into the hearts of free people. Well, I have one simple thought about that. We need to prepare ourselves as Americans to be the front line of defense against this great evil, this savagery, this inhumane butchery for no reason. We need to stand against an evil ideology that ultimately serves no purpose. There's nothing good. There's nothing heroic. There's nothing laudable about it. It is evil. It is unconscionable evil. But they're not going to stop just because we're outraged. That they feed on that. They're going to continue and they're going to multiply. And the only true defense that we have is, first of all, we need to take a mindset that we are frontline soldiers, and second of all, we need to arm ourselves. And every single law-abiding citizen needs to keep and bear arms at all times, in all places, because you don't know where they're going to strike. And the only way to stop them is to have the means, have the tool, the ability, a firearm, and then the know-how. You've got to train with it. You've got to practice with it. And then you've got to mentally prepare yourself, because I'm watching on TV right now, Melinda Rivas did not plan to go to work and be confronted with this today. And she and 47 employees were barricaded in a room. They didn't have any weapons. And they didn't have any way to reach police. And police didn't have any way to reach them in time. So we are in this together, and we need to keep all of these people in prayer, but we also need to realize the times in which we're living. God bless you and Godspeed. Tim Donnelly Show out.